Can everyone see me on the? Oh, there we go. I see me now. Okay.
You ready to go?
I think so.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending and taking time out of your Friday. We're the Oregon BPS team, and we'll be introducing ourselves in just a couple minutes here. But you're here for the webinar on the second round of ECAPP funding. So hopefully you're in the right place. Next slide. So today we'll be covering the first round of ECAPP, what came in through that process and what we learned there. We'll do an overview of the next round, which has officially started. And then we'll also cover our other incentives program, the Berry program. And then we'll take time out for any questions you have. For purposes of the meeting, go ahead and start dropping those into the chat as we go along. And once the presentation's finished, we'll start going through those one by one. We'll also have you'll have the opportunity to do the raise your hand function in Teams and ask questions that way. And we do hope that today you can just keep those questions focused on the ECAPP program. We are available at other times for any other general BPS questions you might have. Next slide. Just a reminder of the Oregon Department of Energy, or ODO, who we are and what our mission is. We have chosen to accept that. Next slide. Just a quick reminder on how to use Microsoft Teams. Again, the raise your hand function there. For the main presentation, if you don't mind keeping your microphones muted, that would be appreciated. Next slide. Introduction. So in terms of the ODO Building Performance Standard staff, I'll start out. I'm Ken Davies. I'm a program analyst. I'll hand that over to Andrew.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Johnson, and I am also a program analyst with the BPS team, primarily managing the ECAPP program. And I'll hand it over to Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Price. I am incentives analyst for the Berry program, Building Energy Reduction Incentive Program. And I'll hand it to Lisa.
Hello, Lisa Gartland. I'm a facilities engineer here at ODO, working in the Codes and Standards group, doing a lot of work in the background for building performance standards.
Hey, I'm
Let's
Judy
not forget
Stockwell.
Judy. Yeah.
I'm Judy Stockwell, and I'm the public service representative for Codes and Standards team. Welcome, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Ken, and thanks, everybody. So before we get into ECAPP round one recap and ECAPP round two requirements, I just wanted to review the some more common BPS and ECAPP terms. So of course, BPS is the Building Performance Standard. ECAPP is the Early Compliance Action and Planning Program. Berry is the Building Energy Reduction Incentive. EUI is the Energy Use Intensity. EUIT, Energy Use Intensity Target. GFA, Gross Floor Area. QEM, Qualified Energy Manager. QP, Qualified Person. QEA, Qualified Energy Auditor. UBID is the Unique Building ID Number. WNEY is the Weather Normalized Energy Use Intensity. And ESPM is the Energy Star Portfolio Manager. A lot of acronyms in the BPS program and in our incentive programs. This presentation is on our website. If you want to review those, you'll have access to it after this presentation. So some BPS basics, Tier 1 and Tier 2 buildings. I'm sure many of you have seen this graphic before. Tier 1 buildings are non-residential hotel motel, 35,000 square feet and above. Regular Tier 2 buildings are non-residential hotel motel, 20,000 square feet to 35,000 square feet. And special Tier 2 buildings are multifamily residential, hospital, school, university, dorm, barracks, prison, and residential senior care facility, 35,000 square feet and above. Here are the compliance dates for each tier. Starting from the bottom up, you can see Tier 2 buildings have the same compliance dates of July 1st, 2028. And then Tier 1 buildings have different compliance dates from 2028 to 2030, depending on the building size. So a little bit about what happened with round 1 before we get into round 2. This is the ECAPP round 1 recap, ECAPP recap. So House Bill 3409 established a BPS early compliance incentive program, and HB 3409 provided $2 million for the incentive program. There were a few things that are required in statute that we had to build into the program. Of course, Tier 1 and Tier 2 covered buildings are eligible. Incentives up to 85 cents per square foot of GFA. That was specifically in the legislation. And Tier 1 buildings must have EUI 15 units over the EUIT. That again was built into the legislation. So round 1 opened on October 22nd, 2025 for 60 days. $1 million of funding was available. $750,000 reserved for Tier 1 buildings and $250,000 reserved for Tier 2 buildings. We received 81 applications, 27 Tier 1 applications requesting almost $1 million, and 54 Tier 2 applications requesting just over $500,000. So we received requests for approximately $1.5 million. Again, we only had $1 million available, so that's where the competitive review process that we established became important. So just to point out some of the applications that were ineligible, just so you know what mistakes to keep an eye on if you're a Tier 1 building owner considering submitting an application. We received 11 Tier 1 applications that were ineligible for 3 primary reasons. EUI and EUIT was not calculated by a QP, a qualified person. That was 4 applications. Applications received after the deadline. That was 4 applications. And the EUI was not 15 units or more over EUIT. That was 3 applications. So 3 important things to keep an eye on when you're submitting your application. And all Tier 2 applications were eligible. And that's just because the Tier 2 application process is much easier and more straightforward than the Tier 1 application process. So Tier 1 buildings received 16 awards for a total of $583,852. And Tier 2 buildings received 34 awards for a total of $250,000. And for a list of the awardees, you can find that in our Odo blog. There's the link. And again, this presentation is available on our website. And so breakdown of the awards by type. You can see here, just to give you an idea of the many different building types that are eligible. Healthcare accounted for 12 awards in the amount of almost $250,000. That's about a quarter of the total awards. And you can see several other building types here. State, city, county, multifamily, residential, retail, office. We had a few hotels. We had a church and a golf club. So all sorts of different kinds of building and activity types. So getting into ECAPP round 2, some background on ECAPP. in general, ECAPP round 2. So ECAPP provides incentives for early planning activities to comply with the BPS, for example, energy benchmarking and reporting or conducting an energy audit. This round has $1.2 million available, $950,000 reserved for Tier 1 buildings, $250,000 reserved for Tier 2 buildings. We had $200,000 remaining from round 1 that we rolled over into round 2 for Tier 1 buildings. And as I mentioned, the incentives are awarded based on a competitive review process. Maximum of 2 applications per building owner, and a maximum of 2 awards per building owner. So if you already received 2 awards in round 1, you're unfortunately not eligible for round 2. So very similar eligibility requirements from round 1 to round 2. Tier 1 and Tier 2 buildings are eligible. Tier 1 buildings must have an EY 15 units over the EYT, and exempt and non-target buildings are not eligible. And the ECAPP early compliance dates are simply 1 year before the overall program compliance dates. So for Tier 1 buildings, that ranges from June 1st, 2027 to June 1st, 2029, depending on building size. And all Tier 2 buildings have the same compliance date. That's July 1st, 2027. So incentive caps, this is the same except for one small change from round 1, $50,000 for Tier 1 buildings greater than 200,000 square feet, $35,000 for Tier 1 buildings, 35,000 to 200,000 square feet, 10,000 for all Tier 2 buildings, and 10,000 for energy benchmarking and reporting compliance action. And I'll talk about that change a little later. Here is the incentive breakdown. There are 4 different compliance actions you can apply for. Energy benchmarking and reporting for 35 cents per square foot. Energy management plan and operations and maintenance program for 5 cents per square foot. Energy audit, 35 cents per square foot. Achieving compliance, 10 cents per square foot, for a max incentive of 85 cents per square foot. And I made a little note here. We strongly encourage Tier 2 buildings to only apply for the energy benchmarking and reporting compliance action. And that's because that's really your only requirement in this compliance cycle for Tier 2 buildings. You don't need to, if you're a Tier 2 building, you're not required to submit an EMP and O&M program, energy audit, or meet your target, which is essentially what achieving compliance is. So I think it makes more sense to only apply for the energy benchmarking and reporting compliance action. If you do apply for the other ones, and that's your choice, but if you do, you're essentially opting into Tier 1 requirements. So here's a breakdown of the competitive review criteria, for Tier 1. I won't go through this line by line, but you can see that we're giving priority to certain things. Building size, so smaller buildings get higher priority. For Tier 1 buildings with a higher EY percentage over EYTs, so essentially a higher energy intensity, get priority. Nonprofit organizations and buildings in rural areas. So the competitive review criteria for regular Tier 2 buildings, again, smaller buildings get priority, nonprofit organizations, and buildings in rural areas. And then for special Tier 2 buildings, it's essentially the same as regular Tier 2, except there are some priority, or there is some priority given to multifamily residential and multifamily affordable housing. And not to get ahead of ourselves here, but and this comes later after you've completed your compliance actions, but I just wanted to point out what kind of documentation is required once you're done in order to request payment. This is good to know up front, just to kind of know what you're getting into. And so for energy benchmarking and reporting, once you complete that compliance action, essentially finding your EOI and EUIT, you'll need to submit forms A, B, and C with part 2 of the application, which is the payment request form. For EMP and O&M, you'll need to complete and submit checklists that will be available on our compliance portal soon. For an energy audit, you'll need to submit Form E and the audit report. And for achieving compliance, you'll need to submit an updated Form C and Form E, or Form L if the investment criteria conditional compliance pathway is chosen. Again, you'll want to submit all these documents with part 2 of the application through the compliance portal. And we're not requiring receipts or invoices for completed work. To receive your payment for the Berry program, we do require invoices and receipts, but for ECAPP, we do not. So a few changes for round 2 compared to round 1. I mentioned the max incentive for energy benchmarking and reporting is $10,000. I think I already explained why that makes sense. And we changed one of the competitive review categories. We replaced qualified utility territory with nonprofit organization. We didn't receive any applications where qualified utility territory would apply, and we made we realized that was a very specific category, and so we replaced it with nonprofit organizations. We had several applications submitted for nonprofit organizations that we believe will need additional assistance, such as churches and charities. And then the last change, as I already reviewed in the competitive review criteria, we broke out regular tier 2 and special tier 2. So they each have their own review criteria now. So now let's go through the application step by step. This can get a little tedious, but I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. Some of these are very straightforward, and some of the steps are a little more involved. You can find the application on the Oregon BPS Incentives webpage. That's the link there. You'll also find the opportunity announcement on the incentives webpage. Please read the opportunity announcement first. There's a lot of information in there that's not in the application. And also please read the application instructions before you begin completing your application. The instructions are, I think, pages 2 through 5. And so, but there's a lot of good information in there that will help you complete your application correctly. So step 1 of the application, and this is just basic owner and building information. Enter your UBID, covered building address, building owner name, and organization or company name. And also the building owner mailing address, email, phone, and if applicable, the property building manager name and organization, and property building manager address, email, phone, and very importantly, the GFA. Step 2 of the application, enter the weather normalized EUI of the covered building. Again, this is tier 1 buildings only. Steps 2 through 4, I believe, are tier 1 buildings only. So if you're a tier 2 building, don't worry about completing these steps. But for tier 1, enter the weather normalized EUI. Again, and I'm going to point this out a few times just because this is very important. And as we discussed earlier, this was a mistake in some of the applications we received where the values were not calculated by a QP. But please just remember that WN EUI values must be calculated and reported by a qualified person. And the QP must submit Form Q, which is the Energy Professional Qualifications form before or with the application. Continuing with step 2, to calculate the weather normalized EUI, and your energy professional, your qualified person should know how to do this. but you're going to want to create an ESPM account. We have a guidance document on how to calculate your EUI. That's guidance document BPS 004 that you can find on our website. And just as a reminder, your WN EUI must be determined using 12 continuous months of energy use, no more than 24 months before the application submission date. You must submit a copy of the ESPM weather normalized EUI report with the application. You can find instructions on exactly what we're looking for in the report on the last page of the application. And then you're going to want to request an ESPM connection with Odo. And once we've accepted that connection request, you'll need to share the property with us through ESPM. And again, this is Tier 1 buildings only. So continuing with step 2, step 2A, enter your WNEUI. Step 2B, confirm that you've attached or submitted your report with the application. And step 2C, confirm that you've requested a connection to Odo's ESPM account. Step 3, enter the EUIT of the covered building, the EUI target. Just like EUI, weather normalized EUI, EUIT values must be calculated and reported by a QP. To find your EUIT, use the Oregon BPS EUI target tool. The link is here in the presentation, and you can find that on our website, on the BPS website. And again, I've mentioned this a few times already, but Tier 1 buildings must have a weather normalized EUI that exceeds the EUIT by 15 units or more to qualify. So continuing with step 3 on the application, step 3A, enter the EUIT, confirm that the EUI exceeds the EUIT by 15 units or more, and confirm that you attached or submitted a copy with the application of the EUI target tool. And step 4, enter the name of your QP. This is Tier 1 buildings only. Step 5, enter the electric utility company and gas utility company. Step 6, enter the type of property. And then enter the primary activity type. You can find the activity type. This is a little more specific than the general type of property. You can find this in the EUI target tool. That's probably the easiest way to find it. Download that from our website, and there's a drop down and you can find exactly what the activity type is. But for example, if you checked school and you have a high school, the activity type would be education-K through 12 school-high school. That's kind of what it would look like there. Step 7, confirm, well, if it is a multifamily affordable housing, confirm here yes or no. And then if it is multifamily affordable housing, confirm that you attached evidence that it is affordable housing. Step 8, check which tier, a Tier 1 building or a Tier 2 building. Step 9, choose which compliance action you're applying for. You can apply for one or more. Step 10, write out the incentive calculation. This is just very simple math. There are a few examples here and in the application. Just for example, if you have a 50,000 square foot building and you're applying for an energy audit, 50,000 square feet times 35 cents per square foot is 17,500. For Tier 1, that's what you would write in here. For Tier 2, since the maximum is 10,000, you would hit your max and write in 10,000. Another example, continuing with example number 1, if your building is 50,000 square feet, but you're applying for the energy benchmarking and reporting incentive, again, it would be 17,500. However, there's a $10,000 square cap on energy benchmarking and reporting. So again, your incentive calculate your total incentive would be $10,000 instead of 17,500. And step 11, again, here are the maximum amounts, and you're going to want to write in your final incentive amount requested. And so that's it, steps 1 through 11, pretty straightforward, I think, for both tier 1 and tier 2, except for tier 1, those steps 2 through 4 are a little more involved. Submit your applications and supporting documents to our ECAPP email address, and applications must be received by 5 p.m. Pacific time, July 10th, 2026. One last thing that I wanted to note on submitting your applications. I would suggest that if you can, please try to submit them as soon as possible, especially, the few weeks before the last week before the deadline. We will have the opportunity to review applications that are received within a reasonable time before the deadline, and make sure that they're eligible and that everything looks good in the application. If we find that something's missing or incorrect, we can let you know if we have enough time, and you might be able to correct the application and send it back. Just a little plug for ETO's BPS Pathway Program. Energy Trust of Oregon also has BPS incentives. You can see the map on the right. The utilities covered by ETO are all over the state and cover quite a bit of territory, including many of the bigger towns and cities in the state. So, and you can apply for these in addition to the ODO incentives. So the BPS Pathway Program is a no-cost program with some incentives. You will receive some one-on-one coaching, and they'll show you the basics around benchmarking, EUIT calculation, energy assessments, etc. They're enrolling now for the next cohort in September 2026. There's the link to the BPS Pathway Program. And just a reminder that for the BPS purposes, including our incentive programs, an energy professional will still need to submit and calculate the EUI and EUIT and submit the forms. And now I will hand it over to Josh, who will talk about the building energy reduction incentive.
Thank you, Andrew. I think that was great for the ECAPP recap and what's going on for round 2. So I'm Josh Price. I'm the incentives analyst for the Berry program. I just want to provide a quick little update on the Berry program of round 1. Round 1 was open for 60 days from February 9th through April 10th. We received quite a few thoughtful questions, had great participation in our open office hours, and we gathered some valuable feedback that will help strengthen and improve the program for round 2. For round 1, we only did receive 3 eligible applications. So we are currently reviewing those. And so what that means is for round 2, we'll have quite a bit of money available for round 2 for buildings to do energy efficiency measures to upgrade your buildings to get your EUIT. So $8 million available for tier 1 buildings, $3 million for tier 2, and $900,000 for tribes. You can go to the next page, Andrew. So round 2 will be opening sometime this summer. We haven't finalized actual date yet. That information will be coming soon. But what I'd recommend right now is to start getting those energy professionals, a qualified energy auditor, to start doing your energy audits for your buildings. List available on our website, on our incentives page for those energy auditors. What we heard was the energy audit was the item that took the most time for the Berry applications. So getting it going now would be highly recommended. If you want to understand more about what the requirements for Berry will be, the requirements are going to be the exact same as round one, and those requirements can be found on the incentives page. So we hope everybody will participate in Berry to help upgrade your building and get you to your EUIT. So start gathering that energy data now, hiring that qualified energy auditor to do that energy audit for your building, and be ready for round two when it opens this summer. That's all I have for Berry. Keep an eye out for Berry round two updates coming soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Josh. Thanks, Andrew. We have a few questions in the chat. First one is from JR. What is the difference between regular tier 2 and special tier 2? Really just two things, building activity type and the square footage. If you're unsure of which one you fall into, feel free to ask staff or just let us know now what type of building that is. But it will also be determined when you use our EUIT target tool, which is available on the website. And then part two of that, if a building owner is applying for two buildings, are we doing two separate applications? Andrew, you want to take that?
Yes, that's pretty easy. We require one application per covered building address. Yes, we'll need individual applications for individual buildings.
Thank you. Next question is, when will Form X be available to see if we qualify for exemption? Great question. I am going to say sometime in the next 2 weeks. We are in the process of getting our compliance portal installed and put online. And as soon as that happens, an email will go out to the building owners or emails that we have on file. And that will be up on a link on our main website, but also the portal will have its own address. Anyway, the forms will be up there and ready for you to fill out at that point. From Kathleen, if we were awarded two incentives for tier 1 buildings, can we apply again this time for round 2 or incentives for tier 2 buildings? Andrew?
Yeah, so the limit is 2 awards per building owner, regardless of the tier.
Great. And then we saw we had a slide up there on the I guess scoring criteria for tier 2s. So Stephanie is asking if there's a link to that we could post.
Yes, if someone could maybe post the link to the opportunity announcement in the chat, but just go to the BPS incentives webpage, and at the top of the page, you'll see the link to the application and the opportunity announcement, and you'll find the scoring criteria down towards the bottom of the opportunity announcement.
Thanks, Andrew. And then one more from Luke, just to clarify, a tier 2 building does not already have to have their benchmarking complete before applying. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that is correct. You do not need to complete the benchmarking to apply if you're a tier 2 building.
Thank you. And then from Deborah, who joined late, but wants to know to just make sure that the criteria did not change from round 1.
a few things did change. And actually, let me see if I can go back to that slide. Let's see here. Sorry, close your eyes, everybody. And let me see if I can find this slide. I think there it is. Okay. Sorry about that. So for round two, we have 3 changes. One is that the max incentive for energy benchmarking reporting is now $10,000. We replaced the qualified utility territory scoring category with a nonprofit organization category. So essentially, we're prioritizing nonprofit organizations instead of multi-tenant buildings not in a qualified utility territory. There's more information about the definitions for those things you can find in the opportunity announcement about how we define a nonprofit organization. And then in round one, the regular tier 2 and special tier 2 buildings were grouped into the same competitive review criteria, and we broke those out to have separate scoring for regular tier 2 and special tier 2.
Thanks, Andrew. Not seeing anything else in the chat right now. If anybody wants to use the raise, it looks like we have one from Luis. Go ahead and unmute if you need to do that.
Hello.
Hello.
I had a question for tier 2 buildings. Do we need to submit forms A, B, and C? And if so, where can we find those?
Yeah, good question. So to apply, you do not need to submit the forms. And so, as I mentioned, the application for tier 2 buildings is straightforward. You don't need to do any benchmarking or complete any of the forms. However, if you did apply for energy benchmarking and reporting, for example, when you complete the work, you would submit your forms through the compliance portal. And Ken mentioned it's the same timing as the Form X in terms of being available. So in a few weeks, the compliance portal should be up and available to building owners, and you should be able to access those forms that are required.
Okay, so we could submit the application form before July 10th, and then submit those forms later.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one more clarifying question from JR. Tier 2 buildings don't need to benchmark to apply for ECAPP.
Yep, that is correct. Just submit
that
if
is
you're tier.
Maybe one reason why you would apply.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Submit your application if you are interested in the benchmarking compliance action. And then if you do receive an award, then you can begin that work. And once you're done and you submit your forms and payment request form, you'll receive the actual incentive.
Any other questions from the group? Luis.
I'll go ahead.
I just had another clarifying question. For tier 2 buildings, we do not need to answer the questions from 2 through 4 in the application form. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
I was confused because some of them have under parentheses tier 1 buildings only and others don't.
Yeah. Yep. You got it. So yeah, tier 1 buildings need to answer all of the questions in the application, and then for the questions that say tier 1 buildings only, tier 2 buildings do not. I forgot to mention at the end of the presentation that we are planning to schedule some office hours to discuss primarily ECAPP and energy professionals and answer any questions. We'll send out more information later, but we're tentatively planning those office hours to be one in early June and one in late June. So keep your eye out for more information about those.
Why don't we go through, I think we've got a couple slides to finish up with, and then we can ask again if there are any questions.
Oh yeah, yep. Let me do this instead.
So this is just a slide showing all of or a good deal of the resources we have online for you through our website. Please check that out. And then our two separate emails, one specifically for ECAPP questions and another one for anything BPS related. That's how you get a hold of us, or the phone number there. And as I mentioned earlier, any questions like you can't find the UBID or you're representing the building owner, need any help with that, please do reach out and get in touch with us. Any last questions before we wrap up?
There was one more question just added just now, Ken.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's if you go back a slide, there's tier 1 and tier 2 compliance document BPS 001. That's the one that covers both of those. Okay, last call on questions. Anything else? If you think of something later, just shoot us an email. We'll get back to you. Well, thank you once again, everybody, for joining us this morning. Appreciate your attendance, and yep, have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
everybody. Yep, you too. Thanks.